Because I think we're kind of pushing for the review here because this is going to be our big review. This is where we're going to have a lot of arguments. Do you want to go over Sonic's Pros?
No, you go over Sonic's Pros.
Fine, because I am the Sonic fan. We have, again, Will on our team does a lot of our reviewing. He played the game. I mean, he played Sonic since we got it. I mean, he played through a lot. I mean, basically the whole game for the team.
Yeah.
And then we each play against individually. But we usually, I mean, we play as many teams with as many people as we can. And I know Will and I are both huge Sonic fans. We've been so for a long time. We're big fanboys, and we've waited for this game a long time. If you're and this is where I think Dillon and Tom maybe just don't get it like I get it. If you're a Sonic fan, you've been waiting for a good 3D Sonic game for a hell of a long time. Sonic Adventure, in my opinion, was the last great Sonic 3D game, and that was 1999. And even then, it wasn't Sonic 3. It wasn't Sonic Knuckles. It wasn't Sonic CD. So this game's been a long time in the coming. The game looked great in demo form, and it's got a lot of people's hopes up. So let's get into the pros. I mean, this is a game that we've seen on the forums. We decided to review because of the kind of the arguments that we saw on the forums and something we wanted to settle on ourselves. So pro-wise was, we said that the controls, pretty good. Compared to other Sonic games in 3D, pretty good. Right and left, I mean, you're controlling Sonic's moves, you're going forward, you're going backwards. Easy enough. It controls well. It has a tutorial mode that helps you pretty well. You know what the controls are. You don't feel like you don't know what the controls are. We agreed upon that. The controls do their job. The camera angles are amazing compared to what we've seen in other Sonic 3D games. They've fixed the control or the camera problems. Because Sonic 3D games have had camera problems forever, where you didn't know where the hell the camera was going. The camera's predictable. It does these quick changes sometimes. They're kind of odd at first, but you learn where they're at, and there's no problem. It's kind of like a Resident Evil kind of thing. Once in a while, did you remember that? You know in Resident Evil, the old Resident Evils where the camera would switch all of a sudden, you had to get used to it. This had that once in a while, but it was a little bit less. I mean, you knew when it was coming after a while, so it wasn't a problem. And then we said the difficulty was, pretty good. The difficulty, it felt legitimately difficult. Like, you could get through the stuff, and it wasn't frustratingly hard, but it felt like it was a challenge. You felt like you accomplished something when you accomplished a mission. And the music was so bad, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
The music was so horrible that we loved it. It was great. It was Sonic music and voice acting all the way. Because if you're a Sonic fan, you realize there's that level of horrible, non-professional, music and sound that you expect, and it did a great job with that.
Yeah.
And then, do we have any other things that you want to bring up as positive? Nope. You don't have anything.
Nope. There were some moments that were good.
Yeah, the moments were great. There were a couple moments where you were just playing and it was amazing, but it felt really scripted.
Yeah.
That was the problem. But the moments, I mean, you were running and you're like, wow, this is amazing. Stuff's going past me really quickly. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It was Sonic. It was the loop-de-loops in Sonic and stuff where you felt like it was Sonic in 2D.
When it was Sonic, it was good.
Okay, what are your cons?
Okay. Now the cons, at the courses, there were loads of memorization. Basically, that there were some of the courses that were difficult. No. Some of the courses...
Did you ever play a 2D Sonic game? Ever, once in your life?
Yes.
You memorized every fucking course in Sonic. I know this is a valid concern of you, Tom. And I'm sorry to argue with you vocally. But, okay, in Sonic, that was the fucking point. You ran fast. You ran as fast as you possibly could. And you know what they did? They threw spikes in there. Because you play through the game, and you learn where that shit's at, and then you beat it. That's what they did in this game.
I mean, that's the thing. There was one... I don't mind a once-in-a-while thing. That's fine. If I can get through the course, only, having to try maybe 3 times, that's fine. That's not really memorization. This was more like you were kind of just on rails and just random shit, okay?
That's what Sonic is, though.
No, but it wasn't, the difficulty wasn't...
And the thing was, if you think, I mean, most of the missions only took 1 or 2 times to beat, and it was very non-linear. You had a list of goals, and you can go in any order, and then after you beat so many, you went on... There were missions you never even had to beat. If you couldn't beat them, you didn't have to do it.
But that was another con that just led into the same missions. You were running the same course, just doing every once in a while little things. You were collecting either 99 rings or getting past without killing an enemy, which I thought was really retarded and got me really frustrated at one point. But
you know what, though? The levels did change up slightly. There were different paths that you went through on different ways through the course. You would see times where there one level, it's early on, so it's not really a spoiler, where you're running through this part and all of a sudden a T-Rex comes out. Later on, you're heading where the T-Rex was and your feet being planted. So there's multi-paths. So you might be in the same worlds. There are a lot of the same stuff, but there are different paths. You're going through different ways. It's not the same way exactly every time. And it's defense.
Okay. Well, but you do know that some of the great like scripted parts some of the great parts where you're like spinning around and doing all this stuff, it was just plain scripted. Like there's one point, and this doesn't spoil
Yeah, but
anything
Sonic's
either.
always been scripted.
Yeah, but no, this was just like not fun. It was just this one part where you're on this like rainbow road thing, spinning around, doing all this cool stuff, and I didn't even touch the controller. There was nothing I was doing.
Yeah, but Sonic Sonic has always been scripted to a point where it was amazing because there would be loop-de-loops, there'd be a jump, you would jump onto some rock that was falling. That was how the 2D games were. There was always scripted events that were scripted, but they were awesome. And this game does that. There were scripted events. It's Sonic.
Yeah, but those were like the great example of those like in Sonic Adventure. Those were just like little things. Like there was one loop-de-loop, but you would still have control. This part I was talking about.
Stop.
No, but like
example, early on in the game, you have dinosaurs chasing you. You can stop and you get hit.
Yeah, you get stopped and you get hit. Good.
You can stop in Sonic 2D and you die.
I'm talking about that one like Rainbow Road scene I was talking about where you just I didn't stop. That's another thing that was actually one of the problems with the controls that you actually can't really stop.
Yes,
you have to make sure put it.
Yes,
there is.
Okay, whatever.
At some points there are.
Whatever, but
it's just that scripted moment. That part was all scripted. That whole thing.
It's scripted. It was like Sonic.
It was like half a level where I didn't even need to touch the controller.
It's Sonic. You never had it. You held left and you could beat half the levels and you did absolutely no work. It's Sonic. And I guess that's my problem with it, is that you guys are rating it hard. But it's Sonic. It's what Sonic has been about since he was created back in like 1991. You held the one button and you went. And eventually there was something that came up in there and it killed you, and then you learned where that thing was and you beat it. And there were enemies you avoided and some of them you had to kill, and then you beat them. But there wasn't anything great, and that's what made Sonic... It's Sonic. It's as close to a 3D Sonic game as I've seen and I think you could ever create. If you want that 2D experience, 3D, which I don't know why the hell you would first of all, but if you did, this is as close as you're going to get. Okay? No arguing about it. It's the best 3D Sonic game in a hell of a long time. Quite possibly since Sonic Adventure. We had some arguments there between Will and I. So Will says Sonic Adventure 2. I'm saying Sonic Adventure 1 was the best one. 2 was a downgrade in my opinion. But at least in Sonic Adventure 1, it's the best 3D Sonic game, and Sonic Adventure 1 came out on the Dreamcast in 1999. It's the best Sonic game in, nearly 8 years. It's Sonic. If you love Sonic, again, my opinion is if you love Sonic like I do, if you love the 2D Sonics, you thought 3Ds were a change of, everything, try this. It's definitely worth a rental from you because it feels a lot like the 2D Sonics. Is it perfect? No. It's not even fucking close. I'll give you that. It's not even close to being perfect. Okay? It's not Zelda. It's not nearly what Excite was after we played it. But it's Sonic. And you know what? Compared to what Sonic has been in the last couple of years, it's a step in the right direction, and I applaud Sega for what they did. I applaud the Sonic team for doing what they did and producing this game. Because it's definitely a lot better than the PS3 and Xbox games that just came out recently, and it's a step in the right direction for a struggling franchise.
Okay.
Well, we rate it.
Well, we're not done with cons yet.
Okay, let's go.
The party mode actually
Party mode blew.
Suck.
You know what? But you know what? Those Sonic never played Party.
It was a total.
It sucks.
It was a total ripoff of Mario Party. Don't need to play it. Yeah. Well, comprised all together, we gave it a 6.5 out of 10.
Team 6.5 out of 10.
I will say that's an improvement for a 3D Sonic game. It's not this be-all, end-all Sonic game that you're trying to make it out to be.
I'm not saying it's be-all, end-all. I'm just saying it's a step in the right direction, and it's definitely a positive thing in the franchise.
I personally wouldn't buy it. Sonic fanboys, you're gonna buy it.
If you're a Sonic fan, definitely need to play it. Whether you rent it or you buy it, you need to play it because it's a Sonic game that's a step in the right direction. Okay. That's our reviews. We argued about it. We don't agree, but